Okay, so for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be talking about Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. This is a wonderful comedy of Shakespeare that I think you're really going to enjoy. But before we get started with it, we need to talk about allusions because there are several myths that are going to be alluded to in the story. And if you don't really understand those myths, you're not going to really get as much out of the play as you possibly could. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what an allusion is. Okay, here is your definition. An allusion is a reference within a work to something famous outside of it. That could be a well-known person, a place, an event, a story, a work of art, literature, music, pop culture. But basically, it's something that people know about. And so when it is alluded to within the story, it gives deeper meaning. So its purpose, it allows the reader and viewer to understand new information, characters, the plot, setting, or other elements because it can make a connection to something they already know. So that's really important. We want to make sure that, when we are writing, that we're always connecting to our audience as best we can. And an illusion does a really good job of that. So it may be used to show us more about a character's traits or motives, create a similar mood, or to create comedic effect. And the illusions that you're going to see in Midsummer Night's Dream definitely do all of those things. Now, there are some problems with illusions that we do need to talk about. You don't want to confuse an allusion with an illusion, okay? Because an illusion is something that you think you see that isn't really there, okay? So think of desert mirage. That would be an illusion, okay? Illusions are based on things from popular culture. Okay, so the reader must have prior knowledge of literature, art, music, etc. Therefore, being well read is really important to understanding an illusion. So if you don't know a lot about other things, you're not always going to understand illusions as they've been intended for you. Things to point out about illusions. They are not references to someone or something only a small group of people would know. It really applies to a lot more than just one small group of people. So, think nationwide, think worldwide when we think about illusion. So you couldn't say something like, oh, his smile is similar to my dad's smile, because not a lot of people are going to know your dad. So that isn't going to be something that's well known and isn't really a good comparison. Here are some examples. Sally had a smile that rivaled that of Mona Lisa. Okay, so basically what we can say about that, if we look at the Mona Lisa, we know that, she's kind of conspiratorial. It's like she has a secret. So Sally's smile is expressing the same kind of idea that Mona Lisa's does. So that really gives us more in-depth analysis of what Sally is like in the story that we're going to read. Okay? Here's another example. Two movies that, I'm sure you've seen, that you've loved, The Karate Kid and Hercules. Now, Karate Kid came out before Hercules did. So when you see the picture of Daniel's son with the sun and the ocean, and he's practicing the move that he's going to use on Johnny to beat him, the same thing happens in Hercules when you see him in front of the sun as well. He's also practicing during his training. Okay, so illusions also are going to be used to foreshadow that, because we know Daniel wins, who else is going to win? Hercules. Okay, the most popular ways that we see illusions are in these three things. So mythology is often used, the Bible is often used, and Shakespeare is often used. And those are alluded to in things throughout pop culture, throughout music, throughout literature, over and over and over again. So again, that tells us if you haven't, been really well read, if you don't know the stories of the Bible, or you don't know Shakespeare's works, or you don't know the myths of the Greek and Roman gods, then you're really not going to understand the text as in-depthly as you could. Here's another example. I'm sure you're familiar with Achilles. Achilles was one of the figures in Greek mythology, and when he was a baby, it was said that he was going to die in battle from an arrow. So his mother didn't want him to die, so she took him to a magical river that was going to offer the powers of invincibility, and she dipped his body into the water. But guess where she was holding him? By the heel. So his heel wasn't washed by the water of the magical river. And as he grew into a man of war, he suffered many great battles until one day an arrow shot at him, lodged into his heel, and killed him instantly. He was remembered as one of the greatest fighters who ever lived. But when we think about Achilles' heel, we automatically think of that as a weakness. So that is a modern day illusion. We know that they're strong in all areas except one thing. It's like Superman and kryptonite. So same idea with Achilles' heel. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do now is watch the video Love Story by Taylor Swift. And I want you to figure out what the illusion is.